Imagine a people who've been trapped in slavery for generations. Their hands are calloused from brick and stone, their backs bent under endless labor. For 400 years, their cries have risen up into the sky, asking if God had forgotten them. And then, into that silence comes a man named Moses. Moses didn't grow up like the others. As a baby, he was hidden in a basket and floated down the Nile, where Pharaoh's own daughter found him and raised him in the palace. He had the education, the privilege, the power, but he also carried a restless heart. One day, after seeing the suffering of his people firsthand, he fled Egypt in anger and fear, disappearing into the wilderness. For years, Moses lived quietly as a shepherd, but God wasn't finished with him. In the middle of an ordinary day, out in the desert, Moses saw something strange, a bush on fire, but not burning up. When he stepped closer, he heard a voice, the voice of God calling his name. Moses, Moses. God told him, go back to Egypt. Tell Pharaoh to let my people go. Moses was terrified. He felt unworthy, but God promised, I will be with you. So Moses returned to the land he had fled. Standing before Pharaoh, the most powerful ruler in the world, he delivered a simple but dangerous command, let my people go. Pharaoh laughed. Why would he give up free labor? Why would he bow to the God of slaves? But God had heard his people's cries, and Egypt was about to witness his power. What followed was unlike anything the world had ever seen. The Nile turned to blood. Frogs, gnats, and flies swarmed the land. Livestock died, boils broke out, hail rained down, locusts devoured crops, and darkness fell so heavy it felt like the sun itself had died. Each time Moses went back, let my people go, and each time Pharaoh's heart grew harder. Finally, one last plague came, a night of judgment. In every Egyptian household, the firstborn would die, but God made a way for his people to be spared. A lamb was sacrificed, its blood painted on their doorframes. When the destroyer passed through, every home marked with that blood was saved. It was a night of grief for Egypt, and a night of freedom for In the middle of the night, Pharaoh finally broke. He told Moses, go, take your people and leave. So imagine it, hundreds of thousands of men, women, and children, carrying their belongings, clutching their little ones' hands, whispering prayers as they left the only life they had ever known. The road ahead wasn't easy. Pharaoh changed his mind and sent his armies thundering after them, horses and chariots shaking the ground. Soon the people of Israel were trapped between Pharaoh's army and the Red Sea. Panic spread. Some cried out, why did you bring us here to die? But Moses stood firm. Do not be afraid. The Lord will fight for you. And then something impossible happened. The waters of the Red Sea split apart. Walls of water rose up on either side and a dry path appeared through the middle. All night long the people walked across. When the Egyptian army followed, the waters crashed back down, swallowing the chariots and soldiers. The people were free. On the other side of the sea, standing on safe ground, the Israelites lifted their voices in a song of triumph. They weren't just survivors anymore. They were God's people, chosen and delivered. But the journey wasn't over. The wilderness lay ahead, years of testing, wandering, and learning what it truly meant to trust God. Still, the Exodus became the great story of rescue, a reminder that God hears the cries of the oppressed, that he is stronger than any empire, and that freedom is always possible, even when the odds are impossible. The story of Moses and the Exodus isn't just ancient history. It's a story about liberation, about a God who steps into human suffering, and about the courage it takes to walk into the unknown, believing you're not alone, because sometimes the sea doesn't part until your feet are already in the water.